All right, ladies and gentlemen, right now I'm going to do the read through for the bio test. Uh, right now, this is test A. If you have test B, this should still work fine for you. It's just the answer options will be a little different. Which statement correctly describes how carbon's ability to form four bonds make it uniquely suited to form macromolecules? It forms short, simple carbon chains. It forms large, complex, diverse molecules. It forms hydrogen bonds. It can connect up to 5 times. The diagram below shows a reaction that forms a polymer from two monomers. What is the type of reaction called? So one monomer plus another monomer, chemical reaction happens, and we have a polymer and some water on the side. Was that dehydration synthesis, hydrolysis, photosynthesis, or cellular respiration? 3. Which statement concerning monosaccharides and amino acids is correct? They are both waste resulting from protein synthesis. They are both building blocks of starch. They are both needed for synthesis of larger molecules. They are both massive polymers. Number 4, a polymer with a high molecular mass. Monomer, polymer, macromolecule, eukaryote. 5, a molecule that can react with other molecules of the same or different compound to form a polymer. So similar molecules that are small, you put them together and you make a polymer. Is that a eukaryote, a prokaryote, a monomer, or a macromolecule? 6, a large compound formed from combinations of many monomers. Get a bunch of monomers together, put them together, what do you have? Adenosine triphosphate, macromolecule, polymer, eukaryote. 7, surface tension is a result of which property of water? Cohesion, high specific heat, adhesion, high heat of vaporization. 8, which statement best describes an effect of the low density of frozen water in a lake? When water freezes, it contracts, decreasing the water level in the lake. Water in the lake freezes from the bottom up, killing most aquatic organisms. When water in a lake freezes, it floats, providing insulation for organisms below. Where water removes thermal energy from the land around the lake, causing the lake to freeze. Number 9 through 16, you are filling in the blanks. So this column is the macromolecules, and this is the monomers that make them up, and these are examples of those macromolecules. So number 9, which macromolecule are we missing? We have carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acids, so number 9 must be an amino acid, DNA and RNA, glucose, hair, skin, and any other body part, lipid, monosaccharide, nucleotide, or fat. Number 10, which monomer is carbohydrates made out of? Are carbohydrates made out of amino acids, DNA and RNA, glucose, hair, skin, any other body part, lipids, monosaccharides, nucleotides, or fat? What are carbohydrates made out of? Number 11, what are proteins made out of? Are proteins made out of amino acids, DNA and RNA, glucose, hair, skin, or any other body part, lipids, monosaccharides, nucleotides, or fat? Number 12, what are nucleic acids made out of? Are nucleic acids made out of amino acids, DNA or RNA, glucose, hair, skin, or any other body part, lipids, monosaccharides, nucleotides, or fat? Number 13, an example of a carbohydrate. What is an example of a carbohydrate? Amino acids, DNA and RNA, glucose, hair, skin, or any other body part, lipids, monosaccharide, nucleotide, or fat. What is an example of a carbohydrate or something to do with a carbohydrate? Number 14, whatever number 9 was, hint, it doesn't have any common monomers. What is an example of number 9? So is an example of number 9 going to be amino acids, DNA and RNA, glucose, hair, skin, any other body part, lipid, monosaccharide, nucleotide, or fat? Number 15, an example of a protein or something made out of proteins. Amino acid, DNA, RNA, glucose, hair, skin, any other body part, lipids, monosaccharide, nucleotide, or fat. And number 16, what is an example of a nucleic acid? Amino acid, DNA and RNA, glucose, hair, skin, or any other body part, lipid, monosaccharide, nucleotide, fat. Number 17, substance A is converted into substance B in a metabolic reaction. Which statement best describes the role of an enzyme in this reaction? What is something an enzyme will do? It adjusts the pH of the reaction medium. It provides energy to carry out the reaction. It dissolves substance A in the reaction medium, or it speeds up the reaction without being consumed. What is something enzymes do? 18, the diagram models how The diagram models how a poison bonds to the active site of an enzyme. Here's the enzyme, here's the active site. The poison is bonding to this active site like a puzzle piece. What type of inhibitor is this poison? If it's right on the active site, is it a competitive inhibitor, non-competitive inhibitor, or tri-competitive inhibitor? 19, the graph below shows how the activity of an enzyme changes at different temperatures. Which statement best describes what happens to the enzyme when the temperature of the reaction increases to 63 degrees Celsius? So as the temperature gets to 63, this is measuring enzyme activity at 63, it drops. So the enzyme is used up and the reaction stops. The enzyme begins to decrease the rate of the reaction. The enzyme continues to increase the rate of reaction. The enzyme changes shape and can no longer speed up the reaction. Remember, it says what statement best describes what happens to the enzyme. Number 20, capillary action is the result of which property of water? Density, high specific heat, adhesion and cohesion, high heat of vaporization. Which test tube, number 21, which test tube shows cohesion, A or B? Cohesion. Which test tube shows adhesion, A or B? 23, a weak acid or base that can react with a strong acid or base to help prevent sharp sudden changes in the pH. Let's make that a bit easier. If I put a weak acid into a strong base to water it down, or I put a weak base into a strong acid to water it down, what is that weak stuff called? Is that pH? Is it a buffer, activation energy, or enzyme? 24, is the reaction an example of dehydration synthesis or hydrolysis? Big molecule and water go into the chemical reaction and two small molecules come out. Dehydration synthesis or hydrolysis. 25, is this an example of dehydration synthesis or hydrolysis? Two small ones go into it and a big molecule and water come out. Is this a reaction of dehydration synthesis or hydrolysis? Polymer and water go in, two monomers come out. Is this a reaction of dehydration synthesis or hydrolysis? Two monomers go in, a polymer and water come out. And is this a reaction of dehydration synthesis or hydrolysis? Notice that they are not physically connected here. So as two monomers go in and then water comes out as they bond together to make a big molecule. Is that dehydration synthesis or hydrolysis?